coming out here. Also, by the way, we did mention the coach standing behind Coast is Michael Slan. He is the temporary coach. Elements, the player, not the team. Formerly he actually had coached Coast in a previous season. Used to play on COG and Curse Gaming dating all the way back. Will be their full-time coach when he is here.
That's happening a lot. Teams, names, teams. Things are getting confusing. We got Nar picked up first. He's been banned a lot in other regions. He's going to find his way into the second game here at the NALCS, and a champion that a lot of people thought Meteos should have grabbed last game. Jarvan could be locked in here for Dignitas as they wait for the first pick rotation of their 1-2.
I mean, I was very surprised when Elise was picked over Jarvan last game. I think that was something the guys on the desk picked on as well, is if you can combo Jarvan with Gnar, it is usually a deadly combination. Add that to the fact that Impaler is a great Jarvan player. It's a smart thing to pick for Dignitas to use, as well as to deny Coast the synergy and comfort.
As Lee Sin still, we heard a little bit about that on the desk, as Jarvan and Corki are locked in there for Crumbs and Core JJ. Now over to the side of Coast. Crumbs took, or rather Dig took quite a bit of time there with their picks. Figure Coast will do the same, kind of stretch it out, and then you only give that amount of time for Dignitas to pick their champion. So you're kind of tightening it up on them if you wait.
Yeah, they mentioned this over during the EU LCS as well. A lot of teams are actually taking longer to lock in their picks with the addition of coaches, because there's just more discussion flowing back and forth, and I imagine there's also more confirmation of what they actually should pick. Coast did it a little bit out of order there, which is suboptimal. You want to actually lock in both at exactly the same time to minimize the amount of time the other team has to discuss what you are picking and what to play against you, but just a small mistake.
Mashme chooses Caitlyn. Gonna have safety and range in the bottom lane. We did see a few blitz cranks from Nif over on Elements from the EU LCS. Shifter's Ahri has been taken away. We heard about the analyst desk being pretty adamant about that. Being a champion he can control the lane with, but so can Jez's now. And we'll have to see what they decide to go. Another thing that brought up a point to talk about was that Annie being played in the bottom lane. We saw Yellowstar doing big things, and Kiwi Kid, that just fits right into his pocket once again.
I would really love to see a mid or a top lane Annie.
Top lane Annie was like hovering, and then I never saw it, but people were like, man, top lane Annie.
You see a decent amount of it in solo queue. It's most likely support here for Kiwi Kid. But you never know.
But when you're in gold solo queue, you don't see crazy stuff like that yet.
You see more of it now.
Yeah, right?
All right.
Get them Vagar supports, the double smite Brahms.
Coast still needs to do support and jungle. I wouldn't be too surprised if Impaler pulled out the Lee Sin, or as everyone wants to see, his Rengar. But his Lee Sin during the expansion tournament was really good.
Lee Sin Thresh?
Really felt like he carried a lot of games. That would be the pack of utility that they need, really.
That could be good. You have a lot of escape for somebody to go.
Rengo!
Whoa, neither of the options I just put out there. Rengar and Leona. Freak said it a little bit. I believe that, you know, it was his Rengar. Impaler's pretty good on it, but we haven't seen NA Rengars have too good of a time over here at NA.
Good thing he's a European Rengar. So
good.
Problem solved.
There's usually a way around it.
I like the Leona pick as well, just against Annie. Level 6, all-inning in reverse, basically. Leona. Yeah. The extra armor and magic resist that Leona has versus the lockdown when Annie does wander in to try and stun you is awesome.
At least one person's going to survive a level 6 explosion, right?
Could
have the Azir.
Or sorry, Azir. They're an A champion.
The A champions indeed, all over the map. Annie, Azir, Ahri. Can it be locked down? He's going to wait it out, but it looks like he will lock this one in. The team will have some good control over the team fights, especially disengage once they need to use that Conqueror's Divide. So they do lock it in. Pretty cool compositions coming out of both teams here. See, the Coast kind of puts together that composition. Hopefully Impaler can get going so they can utilize all the power they have.
And I think it'll be very critical that Mash and Sheep do well for Coast in this lineup. Caitlyn, you need to pick it for the strong laning phase, but if it does get there, that type of safety is very required, because with an Annie stun, a Reli, a Jarvan, the pile-on potential that Dignitas has is really high, and additionally, if Coast does want to dive in, it's pretty hard to dive in on in the Zir in the right ways if Shifter starts getting ahead. So a lot of this will fall on the shoulders of Mash's Caitlyn.
Yeah, another good pickup with that Jarvan as well to stop them from synergizing the Narvan, as Zyrian said, so you can't get any free walls out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm glad they picked the Jarvan away. Crumbs' Jarvan, he has had some pretty poor showings as of late. The end of last year was weak. He started the season looking like the best jungler in North America back in the 2014 summer split. Their time at IM Cologne, he looked kind of like he did late summer, which is not that good.
Right.
So now's the time, better time than any, to bounce back.
Well, now that we've had a look at the team comps, head over to Twitter and lock in your predictions from this match. Tweet hashtag CSTWin or hashtag DIGWin to @LOL Esports. We'll be tallying your votes later as well. Something we've noticed from Dignitas from season to season is they're kind of like beginning of the season, mid-season. And then they
really
fall downhill.
They do great at the start of seasons when expectations are lowest. And honestly, with their way they performed at IM Cologne, the Dignitas fans are cautiously, very cautiously optimistic right now.
Being a Dignitas fan, indeed. We'll see what they can do to start off the beginning of the game. Heard on the analyst desk mentioned Fnatic's Reignover played some Rengar, and he actually was doing some pre-6 work. Not something you see a lot of the time. We'll see if Impaler can get some of that aggression down. As we know, a Jarvan can easily go from lane to lane, just popping people's flashes. Lawn darts.
Found him. Well, I guess Dignitas wins there. They did the first bit of damage.
Ooh.
Swag dance. In the vision of Crumbs.
Line of scrimmage on this one. We still have a bit of time for teams to move around here. They can still get together, but it looks like a lot of safety from both Dig and Coast as we start this game off. Everybody making use of their emotes as they christen the stage here with their first play.
Well, it is just very defensive openings. Both junglers having vision of each other, mutually assured knowledge of each other, basically, for where they're going to start. If Crumbs is over on that side of the map, he's going to have to make a pretty quick run if he wanted to go over to Gromp. So it does look like Kiwi Kid and Core JJ will be starting Gromp. I want to track how this happens in the bot lane, because when the season patch first released and small jungle camp spawns got moved back to 155, everyone was doing it. All the pro teams were saying you have to do Gromp or Krugs because otherwise you're just losing the lane straight up. Then a few tweaks were made. It became a little bit more difficult to do this. As you can see, Kiwi Kid's actually going to take a lot of damage here, so he's got to burn a couple biscuits in order to get up to full health. And it's taking them a little bit of time. I think they may end up missing a minion or two. And we'll end up seeing...
Oh, yeah.
See, that's
2 minions
one minion down. Whereas Mash is going to have the lane shoving already. I want to see if this gives them an edge or if it's actually a bad idea. I mean, they're against a Caitlyn. They're kind of zoned away already.
That definitely wouldn't have given them any advantage in the lane there. And coming to the lane so late, Mash and Sheep know their level 2 strong hit could be coming in. So it's a little told, but that's up to Dignitas to get themselves in the right
They're so slow to push that they're not even hitting level 2 first.
You can't.
Once they get the entire wave, they could maybe hit level 6 earlier, but I would imagine from Dignitas' point of view, since they were against Caitlyn level 1, they just didn't want to be a part of that lane. So it wasn't so much about trying to get an edge, but trying to get unharassable farm.
Normal HP in the jungle there for Impaler. Going a little low, going to head back and get his item. Back to crushing that down. Great gap close there by Gamsu, but I don't know if he's going to get out without taking the bit there. That wasn't what he wanted. He thought Chris might have backed off a little bit more from the aggression, but Chris turns immediately, getting ready to gnaw out, and he'll use that safety to ward.
Well, Chris started lane with the Crystalline Flask, so he was actually trying to take a slightly unfavorable trade just so he could out-sustain Chris. It did go a little bit lopsided, though, and I think that was a really bad trade, all things considered.
He's being careful. He doesn't want that true damage. Staying safe, Impaler finally returning in. I don't think he'll be making too many moves just yet. Every lane is just in the middle. They're playing it very safe. We see now that Crumbs is also going to be entering his jungle. In this mid lane, 16 to 15. Looks like Shifter's been using those soldiers, though, to get some good damage down from afar.
I do want to mention, since this game is still pretty subdued, the difference in the early junglers' plans here. So Impaler backed after 3 camps, which he had to do because he was very low on health, and that only gives you enough gold to upgrade your jungle item and pick up an extra health potion or 2. Whereas Crumbs actually did a 4th camp when he went back to base, allowing him to pick up wards, but making it a little bit slower for him to make it into a lane. So let's see if Crumbs can actually get some extra vision control with that extra camp he was able to put, or if Impaler actually gets a jump on him by ganking while Crumbs is warding.
This is going to be good. He sees that the red is down, but he does not know the location that Impaler went after that. He does leave the ward so he can start to deny a bit of these resources. But they may get some love here from Rengar in the bottom lane. Full ferocity stacks for him, so this could definitely be a big play. And that would hurt what Core JJ and Kiwi Kid were trying to do and getting an early blast into the brush, so they couldn't see him. But I don't think anybody was ready for that. Able to turn damage on 2. JJ returns the same amount of damage he took to himself.
Kind of trying to simulate a level 6 Rengar there by getting the point-blank bola from a leap. Really flashy looking play with less than flashy results. He did burn 2 flashes from the opponents, but he lost a lot of ground to Crumbs there.
The payoff there could have been gigantic.
No flash on Sheep, but he doesn't get knocked out.
Crumbs playing with the edge of the turret line right there. Keeps himself just out of range perfectly and applying some nice damage.
Don't do that again.
He's just correct. He's playing around. He's fine. Giving a little bit of something extra for Mash and Sheep to think about as they try to farm. Gamsu trying to close the gap here. You got to watch out for that damage, though. And then he gets the speed. He could be able to close this one, but it's the teleports for both top laners, and there's going to be no kill potential after.
Nice bit of aggression. So he eventually won the sustained battle against Chris to push him out of lane, but he's not able to burn any summoner spells. Core JJ gets a stun, but he's Valkyrie away.
Yep. Nicely done. Good trade, Kiwi Kid, to turn to Mash correctly and try and get that damage down under the AD carry. Because that was the same thing Sheep was doing. Taylor, he's sad.
So who actually got the gold there? Because when you smite the buff the first time, you get the effect of the buff. So Impaler actually got the Razorbeak buff by smiting, but Crumbs' Razorbeak buff procced from the other Razors that he countered. If anyone can follow that, I was pretty confused. Jess is coming to level 6.
Sheep very low. The teleport from behind. This is going to be big. Gamsu in onto Sheep. The sun is out. Genesis is there too at just the right time. Chris comes in, far from being Mega Nard, but he will be able to put down some damage. The slow from Boomerang, he gets the catch. We'll be able to apply again shortly, but they disengage right away. The teleports one after the other. Everybody working spot on right now. Both teams to stop that.
Jess is the first mid laner to try and roam in this matchup, meaning Shifter will push that lane relentlessly. Azir's not the type of laner who tries to wander around. He's out of tools here. He's got a flash.
That's a whoopsie.
What an aggressively silly and dumb counter jungle that was by Crumbs. Honestly, he knew Jez's was going to be returning to lane, and he burns his flag and drag to get into the Raptor camp, which, by the way, is the hardest hitting camp in the game. So dangerous. Burns his flash, still level 4.
Trying to make some moves that put him in a dangerous spot. He blew flash, so we won't have that over Impaler, who blew his flash as well in the bottom lane. Both junglers trying to work with the devices that they get. Impaler now to the bottom lane again. Where is he at? Just about halfway, so he won't be hitting 6 on this one.
Why would you put 3 traps next to each other like that? You can cover more ground if you place them at the front of the brush and then at the back.
I've actually never tried that. Does that just catch you and catch you if 2 are close? Or is there like a I can't be trapped?
That's probably the answer. I hope that's the answer. Otherwise,
that would be
just
so annoying. Yeah, that's going to be tough if somebody runs into that.
I should know that, but I'll have to do some testing.
I haven't seen Caitlyn play in a while. At least not a lot of it. Gnar up on the turret. He doesn't have to worry. You just get so many resistances when you turn that Gnar form. He's not a care in the world as he approaches the turret. About Crumbs. He's taking his red. May actually put some pressure on that top lane, but pretty much perfect warding here coming out of Coast. There's one right under red and one in that tri-brush, so he can see anybody coming at the top lane.
And speaking of wards, I do have to commend the pink ward Crumbs placed early on in the game, where that ping actually just went down.
Yeah.
Down by Coast's red buff. That is the pink ward spot if you have an early pink ward and you're able to invade, because it is so seldom checked by the enemy jungler, and that is spectacular for scouting where Impaler is. We'll see if anyone ends up walking through that way. It just doesn't look like it's in the cards.
I actually saw it be pretty useful yesterday when a red buff was getting counter jungled. The guy knew 5 hits of the red buff would give him enough time to steal it anyways. He just walked out. So it's even better. It gives you a little more time if they do find it in the first place. Moving down, good clears.
Yeah, Crumbs is still not spotted. He had a lot of patience waiting in that brush. Did not want to all-in reveal himself to Leona. But at the same time, it doesn't set up any type of kill for him. And like we saw, that pink ward showing exactly where Impaler is on that red buff.
See if he enters. He has no reason to. As you said, he'll just go down to Krugs. A little bit of pressure towards the bottom lane here from Crumbs. We also see Kiwi Kid come from the side. Maybe it's Core JJ trying to get a bait in here and say, I'm by myself. We're going to see Kiwi Kid enter the lane.
Yeah, that's where I think coaching needs to come in. Every time you do red buff and you go down to double golems, you should just take the extra 1 second, check that brush.
That's a good point.
Because it can save you so much for such a small investment. Now they know that Rengar is probably there. They're trying to bait a level 6 gank. They saw Rengar was low and Crumbs is down here waiting. But Impaler is actually so low that he decides to recall, and Crumbs ends up wasting a bit of time. Maybe they can get something if Sheep goes aggressive.
Yeah, I think Sheep knows, because Core JJ would be trying to shoot him.
He suspected it.
Yeah. There wasn't enough aggression just for, walking out there. So, plays back and forth, just with some ward games. Blade Surge onto Chris once again. He already used his Transcendent Blade, so he won't be able to get any more damage out of that. Chris isn't having a good time here. Usually you see Gnar able to stay safe, able to just use his Boomerang to farm, but Gamsu not letting that happen.
You can see Gamsu's actually putting more points into his W on Aurelia as well. Huh. Wicked really popularized the max E Aurelia against Ryze in that matchup, but against tankier targets, I think he wants the true damage and the higher sustain, which is working pretty well for him, even though the CS is pretty close in that.
The one thing that counters a poop load of health, right? Able to cut through it. Oh dear, that's going to be the charm coming in. Conqueror's Divide isn't going to stop too much on that. Can he yo-yo one more orb of deception? It's the Foxfire to come out and get the kill for him.
Impaler gets it, they go for mash.
Oh, we found Tibbers in the bottom lane. One rocket misses. That's going to be Sheep going in. You got to be careful, Sheep. Mash, not enough HP to join you on this one. Kiwi Kid forced out with an ace in the hole. And they stop what could have been a bad situation in the bottom lane, the side of Coast.
Dignitas is just not quite in sync. They spent so long down there with Crumbs in a battle in the top lane. Can he get him?
Oh, he's going to Gnar! No way! That's why you don't fight Mega Gnar! So much power coming out of that ultimate. Or just the change, I should say.
Gamsu thought he'd be able to burst him down before Mega Gnar, but he wasn't. Luckily, they both walk away with their lives. Gamsu down teleport. I want to talk about the problems Dig is having in the bottom lane, though. Crumbs waited so long in that bottom lane brush, and then as soon as he leaves, they do flash ultimate from Tibbers and nearly burst out Don't Mash Me. If they just would have gone for it, they would have had the kill, and it would be a 1-1 game right now. Teleport comes in, though, as they're trying to secure this dragon.
That flash Knar's down as well. They're still going to get the dragon, but it may be a continued fight. Crumbs getting hit up, a few more hits to him. That's Chris's pickup. Jez's will be going down if Gamsu can get one more attack on Coast. Looks like they're trying to organize themselves here after losing 2. They're only finding Jez's. Doesn't Shifting Sand. Shifter doesn't need to get himself into place just yet. They're still going. Chris puts himself in the middle of the fight with half Narbar, and it looks like they're actually going to be able to pick up Gamsu on this one. Soldier's coming up big for Shifter as he's trying to keep himself in range, and what an elongated fight there. They actually went back in with members down.
Yeah, Dignitas tried to contest during a 3v4 and got a little bit flanked. They did pick up a kill for Shifter. Azir does scale remarkably well with damage in the right time.
Again.
Yeah, we absolutely just have to see that. Crumbs already low from the dragon. That is the disadvantage of starting the dragon. Since it's straight up a 5v5, they are kind of expected to lose that fight unless they're taking dragon off the back of some real advantage. Not just, I don't think Coast is going to be there in time. And Coast was there in time, so they end up being able to win the ensuing fight. Hopping off the crab, Chris is, to get real close there. Shifter obviously can't zone quite well enough. And that is a lot of damage down onto Chris's Gnar.
Shifter and Jez's both having a pretty equal game for the AP carries. And both putting on a bit of pressure on either side as well as they get themselves built up here. We see the Morellonomicon finished up for Shifter. Help keep Impaler down as well once he gets that health low enough.
That was a very strange Rengar ultimate. as they clear a pink ward in the river. But nonetheless, they get the pink ward.
It's a tricky crab.
They still haven't gotten that pink ward in their own jungle, though. One of these days.
It'll be there for a long time. It's one of those wards that have a timer on it. We'll just figure it out. It looks like they're safe enough as well here to come in and clear more out. That deep ward gives them so much to play with, so many options, and they are not even worried to do most of this. Checking that, says that Impaler has been here recently, and now they will see him towards the top lane. Actually, he gets out of the way of that minion, so no vision there for them. Crumb's still trying to deny. Impaler's not finding anything, though. He's walking around the map, finding nothing. Just his hands.
Sheep and Mash just have this sense of where Crumbs is right now. Oh my god, if they get this.
No way! They just walk in like it's their jungle. They're going to pay for it. Usually you do, and you just nonchalantly step back. Crumbs trying to take it out. Kiwi Kid and them focusing on it. Probably should have moved a little bit faster knowing that Crumbs was so deep in the jungle. But
yeah.
It works. They get a kill on each side.
Really fascinating series of events right there, because that was a educated guess by Coast. They knew that Crumbs had cleared a ward prior on top of the red buff, and then
let's check.
Just like, you know what, we're not in lane. I think they're respecting Tibbers a fair bit, and they had to back away. Speaking of that lane, we kind of lost track of it. Even though Crumbs didn't have very successful ganks, maybe the presence he offered down in that bottom lane, Cortege and Kiwi Kid are crushing Mash and Sheep.
That's true.
30 to 98.
No real help to the early Gromp, but they were able to pull out of that with an aggressive lane. Flash and Tibbers. Well, Tibbers isn't up, but Flash is, so we'll be waiting on that engage, probably from Dignitas. Remember Kiwi Kid back in the day says, yeah, I have Flash, I'm going in. It's pretty much how he activates things.
Or, I don't have Flash, I'm going in.
No, I don't, but it's okay still. Dignitas' mentality on that, it's sometimes what makes the plays work. They just go headstrong into it, and if everybody follows, you get those results. Still safely pushing into the jungle here. This is just showing how much control Dignitas has. They finally, back into it, only because they're trying to take red.
And it took the Raptor buff as well. It activated for Impaler to show him that the pink ward was there. So a little bit of poor luck that he didn't have the Raptor buff on at any other time when he was checking that. Finally, they get rid of this pink ward. Dignitas getting a lot of pressure back because of this, though. You can see the position of this game is slowly pushing closer and closer to Coast base.
Looks like they're trying to stop that a little bit. 4 pink wards inside their inventory as they want to be able to set up defense they can control. They're losing pretty much all the wards they set outside that line, outside of river. You see Crumbs again grabbing up the crabs, and they're going to be all over the coverage. Oh. Okay, he's not going too far. But you can't defend it.
Cortege wanted it.
Okay, they're not going to go for it. So they know it's there, so it's going to be hard to defend. That's kind of stuff that Coast is just dealing with right now. Chris big in the top lane. Gamsu's there, though. Really good control by Dignitas to stop these waves as they reach the turret. They're in the right place at the right time.
I really want to see what happens with the next dragon in 53 seconds. You can see both these top laners with teleport up. Chris still taking a lot of damage from Gamsu despite being so tanky. And then returns it in typical Gnar fashion. But yeah, I want to see if Dignitas tunnels hard on the second dragon. Or if they can get the right type of position. You can see the pink wards around the dragon pit are slightly in Coast's favor. But if we get level 11 Mega Gnar with those items actually making it into the middle of that fight, I think it would be death for Dignitas. But at the same time, Azir with his immense zone control, if they can position in the right way, could just completely segment this fight and win it for Dignitas. Dig does have the early dragon. I'm just trying to figure out if it's worth them over-committing for this dragon. They clearly want to start it. But if they end up losing another fight, it could put them in a very big hole.
I've heard some teams say that a few dragons in the early game isn't the end, and they've been able to give it up. Doesn't seem like Dig really wants to go for that.
I mean, we just saw it. TSM was down 3 dragons to 0 against Cloud9.
Yep.
And a Baron, and was still able to pull out a win. You can tell this one's getting a little bit testy, though.
They have ward control, at least on this side of the jungle now. They figured out that they're not being spotted everywhere they go, and with Sheep on the front line here and Chris just about to gnar out, this is perfect timing for them to get something. Unfortunately, he did hit that boomerang and take a shot, so he's going to gnar out before necessary.
You want Mega Gnar to proc
right
while they're fighting. items so you can catch them off guard. Now, they're almost forced into doing the Dragon and Dignitas. Do they respect the Gnar, or do they pile in and fight?
I think you're going to have to. Looks like Gnar will still be up for the majority of that entire one, and the wait out. Patience is a virtue, and Coast comes out with Dragon on that one.
I think that was properly played by both teams. I really do think the Coast could have won that 5v5 if they pile into the Dragon pit against Mega Gnar, because they didn't have position with Azir, but they couldn't actually get the position early on just because of the Rengar threat. So, Coast using their comp properly to get that Dragon.
You know, at 7-4, that they didn't have Jarvan on their team. You can still Gnar all people into that.
Yeah.
If it's up.
I know.
It doesn't matter if it's yours or not.
It's the anti-synergy. You all should try and peel Gnar, and then it's like, well, actually, Gnar just stunned my whole team. So here's a wall. Here's a tip. Do not alt Gnar.
Yeah.
Jarvan if he's on your team. Also, this is completely off topic, but if you have a Scion on your team and you're Jarvan, you can pop his ultimate on Scion on your own Jarvan ultimate to like completely troll your Scion as he's trying to initiate a fight, because you'll just hit your Jarvan Cataclysm.
I hope we see some Jarvans today, or rather Scions today. That is some fun stuff to watch. Barreling down the lane. And it's usually been some pretty good Scions that we've seen as well. But in this game, none to be had. It's Gnar versus Aurelia top, and Gamsu's been taking that to Chris pretty well this game. However, he has found 3-0 through some of these team fights and kept himself up in CS when getting battered down in that lane. So Chris is showing well here at the start of the split for Coast. Down to the bottom lane, looks like they might try to get a little bit of a gank here. Take it by surprise. Nope, they actually walk out to the lane. I figured they were hiding in the brush, but they're out in the open.
Really surprised still that Mesh lost that lane. Obviously there was a ton of jungle pressure by Caps. He's doing his best to try and keep up right here, but Caitlyn needs either a few kills or a huge amount of farm to really get going. I'd say Caitlyn definitely takes more items to turn into a giant threat than other AD carries do. Core JJ is basically there right now.
Yeah.
There's just Trinity Force and BS. Right?
They're still trying to make some plays off this bottom lane. Pink Ward down in the brush, so you can see Impaler coming in and out. And actually, they're going to do it right now. I don't know if they're going to get what they want. We don't see Core JJ or Kiwi Kid pressing up past the river. They're keeping it as a rule of thumb right now. Still there. Let's see if the ward here coming in from Sheep actually gives them any vision over the wall so they can get this gank in. See, the mid lane is pretty open for Shifter here. Roam from Jez's is just towards the bottom side, maybe seeing if he can help in any engage in the bottom lane. Pretty much a stalemate. Both teams really respecting each other here as the game is really close.
Well, it's really difficult for Crumbs to make an aggressive move here. He doesn't have many items on Jarvan. He's 0-2. He's gone Sightstone, which makes his combat effectiveness very low. So unless he can get absolute knowledge of where Impaler's Rengar is, a gank can very easily be turned around on him, which makes him not actually want to do much. Yet he's still spending a lot of time just camping lanes, which is surprising to me that he's not farming more. It's going to set him back far, far behind. That's the Achilles heel of Crumbs. He's continually over-prioritizing vision and lacking farming, and when his ganks don't work, he falls really far behind of the curve.
No, it makes perfect sense. We see that that ward's not there anymore. The deep ward, and their actions have slowed down across the board. Crumbs not making the opportunities that he was before when they did. And we'll see if they can find it another way. Looks like everybody's just grouping in mid right now. So vision for Coast tells them they also have some time to clear up some waves and get the wards down that they need. And still having a lot of those pink wards they did earlier, which means they've been protecting the ones that actually went down. Working out well for them so far as we reach 23 minutes in the game. 400 gold, about 500 gold is the difference. So it pretty much means nothing with a dragon on each side as well. Oh.
Blue minion
Finally
MVP right
fancy.
now.
Yeah.
Who needs wards when you have minions? Yeah, it looks like Dignitas is trying to make an aggressive play, but they just abandoned that bottom lane. That's going to allow Mash to catch up, so Dignitas kind of has to make a power play right now, knowing that they've left Caitlyn by her lonesome.
They do have the options. Mid lane's getting pinged here. That's by Coast. They're saying that is a dangerous spot. Do not go near Wolf opening. And everybody's going to be safe. Mashme has the wards to go just a little bit further, but he decides not to. He's going to head for the back. Everybody's taking this one real slow. 1 minute and 30 on Dragon. That's going to be something they want their ultimates for. So they're giving each other some space right now, that comfort level. And the wards actually really good here coming in for Dignitas. They've again started to get those forward wards down, where Coast only has that towards the top side for a bit of a lane pressure.
Yeah, I can see that invade and the logic behind Dignitas going into that blue buff area, because they needed a way of actually getting vision on Coast if they wanted to get aggressive. In order to get those wards, though, they did sacrifice their bottom turret, and they sacrificed a bit of the advantage that 4JJ had over MASH. It's really just going to be another objective game, it seems like at this point. The ward coverage isn't good enough by either team for them to really take control, and a lot of it's going to have to be down to the team fights.
All those team fights are going to have people grouped up. That's good for Shifter. That's good for a Kiwi kid. On the other end, you're going to have also that disengage, though. You can have Ari flying around. You can have Narth throwing everybody. So it's going to have to be, it's pretty much whoever ults first is really going to be the winners on this one. Usually it's kind of, you can predict the ult and then be the one to win the fight, but I don't know about that. Mashmi taking quite a bit of damage there. Nar not too hyped up right now. He's going, changing on to Kiwi Kid. No tippers this fight. That goes down, and it looks like they're going to be going hard on this fight. Gamsu taking a lot of damage. Forced the flash over the wall, providing no more for the team. And Shifter is the only one can fight from this range right now. Coast gets exactly what they want, taking out two. Maybe not wanting to lose Impaler, but the fact that he has to dive in so hard right now means he's probably going to go down. Great controller by Coast.
Actually a very explosive fight as well. If Kiwi Kid would not have been blown up so quickly, I think that could have actually been a fight for Dignitas. We really saw the potential of Shifter's counter engage right there. He was doing a ton of damage as Coast dove in for that one, so much so that even with the clean initiation from Coast, they had to just abandon the dragon. And now it's actually Dignitas trying to regain control over that pit.
You can't do much. He's like, oh, actually, I probably should have been back. He's going to at least try to get vision for the team. That'll be able to stick on this one. Oh, wait, we do have Impaler coming up.
Chris would have to TP in if they decide to go in on this. They almost have Ari ultimate.
Dragon, that's the TP. Nar's very close to going crazy on this one. Chris is going to be big. Impaler steals the Dragon. Can Dignitas come back on this one? Mega Nar is out, chucks the chimney down. Big damage from the Orbit Deception here, but they're deciding to back off without Sheep. A pretty good decision there. Kiwi Kid doesn't have Tibbers, but that was close to Dignitas falling.
Yeah, Dragon Steel, nice job by Impaler. All that investment Dignitas put in only nets them a kill onto Sheep. The real question is, can they get any vision control after making Coast fall away? And I think the answer to that is no. So, despite the kill, I think that's a big loss for Mid.
See it again.
Yeah, he just walked up and smited it. That's the old classic Dragon Steel there. Walk up and use your button.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, just smite. Make sure you have it on the right key.
Just press F.
Press it. Sometimes when you have the chilling smite, you're too used to using it for the fights. Obviously with the Rangers Trailblazer.
That happens quite a bit. Or the fact that you just want to smite everything in the jungle for the buff, and you're like, oh yeah, that dragon helps. Not something that Impaler is finding he's having trouble with right now. A great second Dragon Steel. 3 in the game, 2-1 so far, and that only means Coast is getting that much more powerful. Feeling the need to push up here. Looks like we're going to have Chris back to the top lane. He doesn't have teleport though, so he's going to be up there for the long haul. This is a push that they're going to use. Put a little bit of pressure in the mid lane as well with the rest of the members.
And also, as far as being able to make things happen, Dignitas have been the ones that have been battling this vision control game with the double Sightstone for quite a while. And finally, Coast has a bit more to fight back with. They have the DFG now onto Jess's. We talked in the pregame about both these mid laners being a passive style, and we saw it in their item choices. Jess's started with an Athene's Unholy Grail and then went to the DFG, whereas in the game prior, Bjergsen just went straight for the DFG and started making plays. Now, with the Deathfire Grasp, Jesses will have a bit more of an opportunity to make plays, especially if Rengar can get a catch. Will they go?
Oh, exclamation! Nice divide there coming out. They still take him down. There's way too much front-end burst. Jesses will be picking that one up for himself. And the Sun Disc goes down for a little bit of control, but it's only a turret to be taken down here, most likely by Coast. They're not really that deterred by it.
Yeah, Crumb's continually... He's now at threat for getting picked off, which really sucks. He has the Sightstone here. He needs to be able to get map control with it. And normally it's great to have Sightstone on the jungler because it's harder to initiate on a tank than it is a support. but now that he is a very squishy tank, he's trying his best to take up. He can't get it.
Ow.
I don't know about the two-man Baron.
Oh, there he is. There's Chris. Good guy, Chris. You can still get killed by AoE, gentlemen. Be very careful here.
Oh, they can dodge around it. Dignitas kind of knows something's up. There's the ward. They know it's low. Do they try and flash in? They don't have flash.
No.
What a Baron sneak by Coast.
Could this be a fight that they take, though? Very, very low on this one. They find Jez's. This could be Baron going down. Actually, Gamsu's going to hit it. Transcendent Blades, and he will get a bit of damage. Nicely slowed by the Boomerang, and they are going for the fight. Soldiers over the wall. The big one coming out from Core JJ, and Shifter's doing what he can from just outside range. Kiwi Kid, a little too by himself there as he walks through the forest. He's going to go back with the team. And they come out nicely on that, picking up a few, but Coast will still have some minions to Baron up with those buffs as they lose turrets for their Baron attempt.
Yeah, but that is not a good Baron when you look at the results afterwards. There's a few minions in this mid lane for Dignitas trying to get this down. Coast will be coming out with 3 people, but that's not enough to fight 5.
No home guards on either of the people rezzing right now, so they're not going to be instantly into the fight. Still too much pressure for them to do anything. Impaler in as soon as he is up. He's going to try to dive out of this one. Gamsu with a blade surge and then a flash right over the elbow of the wall. Gets himself the safety to pick one more up before they exit. And it looks like Coast is left to kind of clean up the pieces here. Yeah, they got Baron, but Dignitas is showing that that was a mistake for them.
It's turned into a tremendously close game. And it's not going to be letting up anytime soon, especially with Coast's willingness to dive through the Azir.
Oh, yeah.
Mash is getting a little bit more and more gold, too. If he can get Last Whisper, he'll become a real big threat.
Yeah. Oh!
Yeah.
Little base gates coming into play.
Basic, also right there, he thought he was walling off the Rengar as he jumped in, but because of the base gate, he was able to get the flank with Rengar. Quick adaptation to how to use those guys on Rengar. Shifter guessed wrong with his Emperor's Divide. Oh. And it ended up costing somebody else's life.
Thanks, man. Oh, yes, Zanya's, though. Should be pretty good. And we'll see the mid getting cleared up here. It takes a little bit longer for these Baron minions to be cleared, but they got it.
Exactly. The nice thing about Baron buff is only one person has to have it in order to get the minions to the same power.
Nice.
So if Coast can actually get a fight of some kind and get a few kills, those Baron minions could push clean through Dignitas. But with the safe ward clearing of Shifter's Azir right there, it's going to be pretty hard.
I think it was in the LPL, they were doing Baron, like Banner and Command stuff. It was IG. That was really funny.
Meaning basically only the 80 carry can kill it?
It was great.
Yeah, it could be a strategy here. If you get an empowered Baron minion, it attacks from outside the turret range. But if you Banner of Command it, it's immune to magic damage. So you literally have to stand there and whack it for it to die. And it forces the team into a really uncomfortable situation.
It did as well. They're pretty much just crushing down turrets. Not something we'll see here, however. As teams, as we look around those core items.
Yeah, no Banner of Command coming out.
Nope. We got Infinity Edge. Last Whisper.
Oh, no!
Phantom Dancer as well. That means big damage coming out from Caitlyn. We're going to have everybody ready for this fight. A few shots left and right. Not even going to need Mash's damage for that one. And Coast showing that they have control of the map. When you know that another guy can go hang out and push mid while you're getting Dragon, it feels pretty good for the team. And they're going to go ahead and take control.
Even though Dignitas wanted to control that Dragon to prevent the move speed buff from going onto Coast, they had no business walking in that space. They did not have vision control. They were not grouped up together. And they know that Charm plus Rengar equals death. And they did it anyway.
What?
Oh! Coast. Chris couldn't get it.
Almost. That would have been pretty cool. I actually have not seen a Gnar smack a Jarvan out of his flying drag. Probably be interesting. Back down to safety. Gonna go ahead and back right out in the open. They are good to go. Looking around again at those lanes. We talked a little bit about Shifter being behind in CS. He actually did well going into this game. Kept it even with Jez's. Both of them stayed safe. But you're Azir. You can farm from 90 million miles away. So that kind of goes into it as well. But he's the one that's trying to provide that damage and the separation of these fights. Like we said before, they're just getting charmed right through that divide. They got to find a different way. Right now, that's to take control of all the resources and the vision in the map. They can get a good pick, and maybe a Caitlyn. Everybody else is really jumping away from the fight or peeling, and they'll be good off.
It's still a really close game.
Yeah.
Even though Coast have been the ones picking most of the fights here, if Kiwi Kid can get a good Tibbers down onto Mash, who's yet to build a defensive item, it could be the end of the fight for him there. Or even if they can just lock down Jez's. One stun, burst down Ari before he can start dashing away would be enough. But continually, Coast are the ones finding the fights, whether it be Jez's or Impaler that are starting with Rengar or Charm, and they're piling on spectacularly. Again, Dignitas is split up a little bit, but this time at least they're close enough to their turrets not to get caught by Impaler.
Look at the option they wanted to create there as well. They didn't see really anybody else on the map towards Wolves, maybe one ward over to the red side there, but they were ready to go in with 3 and take out Gamsu immediately. They want to make plays, and they want to make it happen now. Towards the top lane, oh, Gamsu, you are in a scary spot. Nobody actually goes around the backside of the turret. They just want that. They're going to play it safe.
It's a turret game now.
Yep.
Keep in mind, until next patch, the spectator turret counter will be inaccurate, so it shows 7 for Coast. That's counting 2 down to 0 turrets.
Right.
Yeah. It's actually 5 turrets that Coast has killed to the 5 of Dignitas. So the turrets are actually dead even right now.
Good old Shurima's legacy.
Yeah.
Also attack speed on cooldown. It's fun stuff. Shifter on Azir versus Jez's on your screen right here. Both level 16, providing the maximum amount of power from those ultimates now within these fights. And we see that Shifter's gone through the defensive power of the Zanyas, but it's all power coming in for Jez's as he tries to finish up the Void Staff next. 3 roam squad kind of going around here. It's Caitlyn, Impaler, and Sheep. So they're trying to get a kill on their own. Not finding too much. Dignitas is playing way too safe. They know it can happen.
They're out of vision too. So this is really a very bad spot for Dignitas to be in. The reason they're denied vision is because Crumbs was the guy who was supposed to be giving it to him, but he is too squishy in most cases to get caught out. Now he has some armor, but he would still have no resistance to Jess's flying in. They're hoping that Coast tries to overdive and Dignitas stays together, and that they can get a proper peel from Shifter's Azir and actually win that fight. It's just not happening right now as Baron's about to spawn.
Just the fear that the entire team, especially Impaler, is putting in here, like you said, without the vision. It can be a jump at any point in time, and the gap closing quite easy.
That flash from Andy, they got him. That's what they needed on Jez's.
That was explosive. Finding Jez's towards the mid lane, now going straight down that with the eyes on the inhibitor. They're going to have 2 minutes on Dragon. After this gets taken, they probably go for that. And they have all the time in the world here to trade for Baron.
I mean, you don't trade this because your Nexus will die. Your Nexus will die. The Baron takes too long to kill. What are they thinking?
That's bad news, Bears. I do not know where that call just came from.
Gamsu can interrupt these against over.
That's unpowered. Transcendent blade through the entire team. That's going to put the nail in the coffin. And after being on their heels for the past 7 minutes, Dignitas is going to take down the Nexus to win their first game of the North American Spring Split.
Wow, Coast with a giant blunder at the end of the game, and Dignitas capitalizes instantly.
Huge play by Gamsu to stop 4 backs as well. Definitely get a replay on that Kiwi Kid initiation for Jez's.
Oh my god.
What an incredible play.
Dignitas was completely out of options. They were on their back foot. The only thing that could even win them a fight is if they flash and stun Jez's. Did that. They got him out of there. Then they start pushing mid, and Coast forgets that they have a down inhibitor.
I get it.
That must be it.
I get it. We can take Baron fast enough, we'll have a charge recall, and we'll get back in time.
Maybe. Not even close.
Not even.
Because
that's the only option, though.
Yeah.
Because 4 seconds, no.
The minion wave was in the right place for Dignitas for one.
That's true.
When they were trying to do that push.
That was huge.
Which is surprising for Coast maybe, because Coast had so much map control overall. But they get the catch, it's a 4v5. They make the call to try and trade Baron for something in their base, not their actual base. They try to stop the Baron. Gamsu makes the great move. Has his Aurelia ultimate up. What a perfect champion to interrupt recalls with.
My God.
One little blade through each of them. They get every single person interrupted, and then they just kill the Nexus. 37 minutes in.
Very nice job there. Looking at the game, both teams fought quite hard. I have to say, Dignitas can't expect to win games like this all the time. They were on the back foot. They did find a way through. We'll have to see if both these teams can right the wrongs, however, because there was a bit of stalemating where they didn't know what to do, where kind of vision went to the wayside. They got back another way. Someone was looking out for them.
Hey, it's a new age for Dignitas as well. After all the stuff that people always constantly throw at Dignitas, Dignitas doesn't know how to play around Baron. They're not doing this properly. The 2 times that Coast goes for Baron, Dignitas punishes the enemy greatly. Coast got it on the first one. Dig took 3 kills in the mid lane inhibitor turret. The second time Coast goes for it, Dignitas just ends the game.
Great play coming out all around. Pick and ban phase went pretty well for both teams, so you can't really criticize too much there. They played their compositions as they should. Coast was not afraid to make plays. They were not afraid to take control of this game, and they did so. They
had a lot of control. I mean, if Coast can separate themselves from the emotion of losing that game on that bad Baron call blunder, that was a recoverable blunder as well. If they get caught out in mid lane, Justice is dead, all right, recover, pull back, they get an inhibitor, we defend the Baron. You know, that's what Coast's game plan could have been there. Up until that point, they were playing a good game. And they'll have to try and take that into the rest of the week, because otherwise this can just destroy a new team's mentality.
Well, Dignitas is definitely going to be happy about that one win so far. Like we said, though, it's 2 games coming out of these. And I said before, that's a lot of impact. Maybe not so much for this game because it was close. Coast will know that they can come back into this one fighting. More so for the games that are lopsided, because then you think this has a lot of, you know, impact on what can happen later. This is a game we may lose. Who are we going to beat? Not something that Coast will be looking at. We will see that this game, the second time, probably just as close.
Yeah, Coast had a Dragon advantage and a 1,000 gold advantage when that game ended. But we actually have a replay of that final fight.
Awesome.
Or the final killing of the Nexus.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see here, as Coast is starting Baron, if we can just roll this right now, they must have thought they had a turret there. And they had a little bit more time, because that inhibitor going down, you can see the bells run off as soon as they started hitting the inhibitor, and then Gamsu.
3 with just the first blade.
And then the final shot to get the Rengar. Just no chance. Chris as well gets Mega Nars, not able to stop it, and just nobody can make it back on time. What a finish. He throws out the Emperor's Divide just in case someone comes through, because he can. And that's another thing about this. As the Nexus explodes once again, Azir takes turrets so fast. Because he can consume a soldier to click the turret and just do a whole bunch of damage to the turret right off.